This is a video for how to pick up stitches on the Harry shoe. So I've just finished turning the heel. I've done row 3 of turning the heel. I'm just going to finish up doing the last row. So I need to, this is where it says next row, I need to slip the stitch, 1 stitch, and then I need to knit 6. I'm doing size 3, which is the 3 to 6 months in the blue numbers for the Harry shoe. Okay, so I've just finished the last row of turning my heel, and this is what it looks like. My yarn is in this corner, and now I'm onto the foot and toe shaping, and for size 3 I need to pick up 7 stitches. So I'm using a cable needle, but DPNs will work just as well. I'm going to pick up stitches evenly along here. I'm not going to pick up from the selvage edge, which is inside here. I'm going to pick up 1 in, it makes it neater. So I'm going to lift up this bar, and I need to, as I'm working on size 3, I need to pick up 7 stitches, and I'm going to spread those stitches evenly along here, making sure I pick up the first stitch here and the last double stitch. You must pick up the last double stitch, when I say double stitch, the last stitch where there's 2 strands of yarn, not 1 strand of yarn. The reason we need to pick up the last stitch here is if we don't, we'll get a bit of a hole. Okay. So I'm going to lift up this bar. I'm going to put the needle in as if to knit, wrap the yarn round as if to knit. So that's our first one. I need to do that 6 more times for size 3. The numbers will change if you're working on a different size. 2, 3, gonna miss out that one, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now we're on to the section where it says it's got big knit with a variety of numbers, knit from the stitch holder. So for size 3 we need to knit 9 from the stitch holder. So for my cable needle I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to put the stitches, which these will either be on a stitch holder, or if you're knitting using Magic Loop method they might be on your cable. So I'm going to put those back onto a live needle. A bit stiff. Okay, and I'm going to knit these. So there were 9 on my stitch holder. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm going to pull my needle through because I'm using the Magic Loop method. Okay, and now I need to pick up 7 stitches from the other side. Again, we're not going to do the selvage row, we're going to do the next one in. This looks a little bit lumpy because I've already picked up these stitches and unpicked it from a previous video. So again, I'm going to make sure I pick up the first one where there is 2 strands. And I'm going to pull this stitch quite tight because when these stitches have been left on a stitch holder, the last one tends to stretch a bit. Two, 3, 4, gonna miss out that one because that's what I did on the last one. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I've picked up all the stitches that I need for the foot portion now. If you're using, if you're using whatever method you're using, whether it's magic loop method with a circular needle or double pointed needles, you can put a mark here because this is going to be the first point of round 1, and then we are going to move the marker slightly, but you might need that marker for later in the pattern. Because I'm using magic loop method, my needles naturally split here, so I'm not going to use a marker at this time. Okay, so now we're on to round 1 of the foot and toe shaping, and we need to knit 8 to start with. So I'm going to put the stitches back on the live needle. I'm going to knit 8, and this 8 is going to be the sole of the foot. So just plain knitting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after doing the knit stitches of the sole, we're now going to do the rib pattern stitches along here and here for the top of the shoe. So we need to start off, all sizes we need to start off with a purl stitch. And now we're on the section where it says KTBL. KTBL means knit through the back of the loop. So we need to take the yarn to the back. Instead of going through the front of the loop like this, we're going to go through the back of the loop. And this twists the stitch. So it's a normal knit stitch, but with a twist in it. Okay, and then we need to do a purl. And that is our rib pattern. And where it says X, then a bracket with some numbers, that means you do that pattern for size 3. We do that pattern multiplied by 10 times. So we've already done it once. We need to do that another 9 times. So I'm ready to do the purl one. So that's 2. Okay, I'm just doing my last rib pattern. Knit through the back of the loop. Oops. And purl one. Now we're left with 1 stitch on this round, and this is where we reposition the marker. So I'm not using a marker, so I'm going to reposition the beginning of my cable needle. So you can either put a marker in this gap or reposition your double pointed needles or your, the way your stitches are spread on the circular list. So I'm just going to pull that one through. Okay, so that is now the beginning of round 2 and all following rounds. I'm going to put this on the live stitches ready to do rounds 2. So round 2 is much the same as round 1. We're going to knit for size 3, we're going to knit 9 for the base now because we've included the 1 stitch from the last round to make it 9 instead of 8. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're at the beginning of our pattern. So again, I'm going to do a purl stitch, and it's the beginning, exactly the same as the row before, the beginning of the knit through the back of the loop and purl one pattern. We've already set the pattern style from before, so it's just a matter of copying it. That's a knit stitch, so knit through the back of the loops and then purl. Knit through the back of the loop and purl. And you can see the pattern is beginning to show through. We're getting the beginnings of a rib. Okay, and we just follow this pattern all the way through for round 3. That would be for a further 12 rounds. So after this round, I'd work another 12 rounds on the foot. Okay, thank you.